Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Mark Schaefer. Mark, I probably don't need to ever introduce you because you are. I've got 3 of your books, though I've only got 2 of them here. I can't find the third one. We're going to talk about this one belonging to the brand. Why community is the last great marketing strategy. And I've got loads of really difficult questions for you. Mark, before we get into it, I always ask my guests, where can people find you?
You can find everything about me at businessesgrow.com. My blog is there, my podcast, my books, and all my social media connections to stay in touch with me. I'm ready. I'm a little intimidated by these hard questions, but let's begin. Let's just see how hard they are.
Just see how hard they are. Yeah, I've been scurrying all over your website and reading your book, and just to come up with some really good questions.
All right.
Love the book.
Thank you.
The best book about personal brands there is, and we've come on my podcast before and talked about that. This is a great book about community and a great book about the current state of marketing. And I went back because I wanted to, because I remember reading this and went, this Mark agrees with my view of the world. And round about page 49 and 50, you intimate that marketing is broken.
More than intimate.
You talk about
it's a full body slam. I pick up marketing and I throw it to the mat.
You do, and I actually photographed one of the pages and tweeted it because it was, for me, it was like, this is a moon landing. Because sometimes it gets lonely saying these things, and actually getting someone as influential as you saying it is you quote a particular piece of research from Ted McConnell about someone that posted a blank banner ad and it did better than banner ads.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows that most people click a banner ad just because it's a mistake, to be honest with you. But I think the idea is that, and this is really something I introduced in Marketing Rebellion,
Yes, you do, yeah.
book I wrote a few years ago, that, marketers, we're in this trench and we just do things because we've always done them. And maybe we do a little bit better with our Facebook ads or a little bit better with our SEO, but we need to look up at the world and see what's really going on. And here's what I think, Tim. In 20 years, we're going to look back at this period when we're interrupting people, spamming people, intercepting people, doing things that our customers hate. We're bothering them, we're annoying them, and we're going to think, what was that all about? What were we thinking? Because there are new ways, there are better ways to connect with our customers. And I think this book, I hope it will inspire people to think about some new ways to connect in a way not only that works, but maybe even a way that heals.
Because you on page 50, you say that consumers are racing away from ads. Ad agencies are irrelevant. And SEO is on the ropes.
Did I really say that?
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, it's true. I mean, I think most people do SEO today because they're afraid not to.
Because they're afraid not to.
Yeah, but look, I talked to a fellow a couple weeks ago. He hired me for a coaching call. I got a place on my site. Anybody can hire me for an hour. And he was so proud, Tim. He said, I've been working 3 years on my SEO. And finally, this week, there's a special keyword. I moved from place 18 to play 17. And I mean, oh my gosh, really? That's what you're working on to remain invisible? And the truth is, I mean, most people are not going to win the SEO. And with new things coming out like Chat GPT, I wrote this week. I just got my first consulting contract from Chat GPT,
I saw you
from
post about that. Yeah.
from artificial intelligence. So what's the role of SEO in that?
Yeah.
So there probably isn't one. So anyway, but you're right, and I think we do have the same heart about those things.
So in the book, you talk about there being three megatrends that are colliding. Do you want to talk? Do you want to talk us through what those three megatrends are?
Sure. Well, we sort of hinted at one of them a little bit here. That is, marketing just doesn't work like it used to. I mean, we're in a streaming economy. People, aren't seeing ads. They're watching, Amazon Prime. They're not hearing ads. They're listening to audiobooks. They're listening to Spotify. And so we must find new alternatives in our marketing. That's number one. Number two is something that has just really hit me deeply. I'm sure it's the same way there, Tim, but in the news every day, there's something about mental health,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to our young people today.
Yeah.
It's soul crushing. It really is. We have these record levels of isolation and loneliness and depression. And I don't have time to get into the details now, but when you do the deep dive on the psychology of community, it has these amazing, profound healing qualities. We need community. There was a famous research study that was just updated last week. The conclusion is loneliness kills. The third trend is that so much money today is being invested in new technology that helps us belong. And we have this confusing world of Web3 and NFTs and the metaverse. But when you cut through all the hype, what it really gets down to is new ways to help people belong. So let's take advantage of that. I mean, the world's giving us a great gift here. How do we put that to use for our companies? So those are the three trends that are coming together. And, I'm not a bragging person, but I will share a mic drop moment. The day I finished writing the book, I wrote the last words of the book. McKinsey came out with a major research report that said community is the next big thing in marketing. So it's just like, I know this is right. I know I'm on the right track here. The whole world is telling us we need something better. And here's this gift. It's the most overlooked opportunity in the history of marketing opportunities.
And so let's get into community, because I think there's a lot of people out there that think because they've got you talk about a particular process that you go through or that people go through, which is I get followers, I get an audience, therefore I have a community. So you've got a big following on Twitter. That doesn't mean that you have a community there, does it?
No, that means I'm throwing messages in a bottle out into the ocean. Hopefully somebody will see it. Right. And I think that's where most businesses are stuck. What's great marketing is creating that emotional connection to your customers and your audience. You want them to feel something, to expect something when they connect to you. Social media is awesome. That's how you and I met. I mean, look, we've connected and collaborated for a few years now. That never would have
We've never
happened.
met.
We never met, but we will. But we've connected in a meaningful way, and we've collaborated, and that's awesome. That happened with social media. Now, you are creating an emotional connection to your audience by creating this content consistently in a high quality manner. Great. Now, but that's where most businesses are stuck. They're not going to this next level of community. And that is really the ultimate marketing. It's almost like marketing without marketing, because when you have community, people are there for not just for you, but for each other. I think I have this great case study in the book. It's so eye-opening. This is my 10th book belonging to the brand. And in one chapter, I devoted the whole chapter to one person. I've
Yeah.
never done that before. It's Dana
Yeah.
Moustaff. It's spelled like Dana, D-A-N-A, but it's pronounced Dana. And Dana has a community of 70,000 people, almost doubling each year. In the first 9 months of her community, she had a 6-figure income. Now, think about this growth. Think about this success. Her business is nearing $1 million in revenue. She has no sales team.
Yeah.
Nobody in sales. No marketing team. No marketing budget. She doesn't need it. She'll never need it. That's why I say it's marketing without the marketing. She doesn't need ads. She doesn't need SEO. She doesn't need all of these things that we typically think of as marketing. And yet it's the ultimate marketing, the ultimate emotional connection to your fans and your customers. So that's why I think, the subtitle of the book is why community is the last great marketing strategy. Because when all this other stuff goes away, we're still going to have community, because we've always had community and we need it in our lives.
So a lot of people are using content marketing. And I know you wrote an article, was it back in 2014 or 2015?
Oh, wow. Good memory.
About the fact that there's so much content that it's
Content shock.
Content shock. That was it. Yeah. And the fact that there's so much content that it just doesn't resonate anymore. But a lot of people are now getting on the content marketing bandwagon. I mean, what we see that a lot, and we see a lot of bad content. You're forever going. Well, I am going through my LinkedIn, going boring, 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 boring. And of course,
boring. Mark Schaefer. Boring, 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 boring.
No, I blocked you, Mark. Did you not know that? Sorry, I was.
I did know that.
What we want is for people to be curious, but again, it's that emotional connection, is that you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, Tim, what a boy. I mean, you're just bringing up a mega issue here. Is that, well, I mean, content is no longer a novelty. People aren't going to follow you because you have the first interesting blog or the first interesting video series on YouTube. I mean, it's just overwhelming. And now we've got, artificial intelligence writing content and editing videos for us. And if you thought the information deluge, the saturation of information was bad before, you ain't seen nothing yet. And at the end of the day, the last thing we have is that emotional connection, that authentic connection. And that's, I think, the two most important things we can work on. Number one, personal brand. You mentioned known, personal brand, because at the end of the day, people are in this world of bot content and deep fakes. We're not going to know where to go or who to trust. People are still going to want to connect with people who they know are real, creating real content. So become known. I've been screaming this from the rooftops for 7 years. In the world of ChatGPT and bot created content, the only thing I know of that can save us is personal brand. That's number one. Number two is what we've been talking about, community. It's this authentic way to build this amazing connection. And here's a profound insight from the book. I mean, I just learned so much when I was writing this book, Tim, that when people become friends in a community, that connection and that emotion spills over to the brand. It suggests that it's almost more important in a company, or, I say company, it could be a nonprofit, it could be a college, it could be anything, that in a community, it's more important to focus on the connections between people than the connections between the brand and the people. When people are friends, it creates this emotional switching cost. That I don't want to leave this community and this brand. It means leaving my friends.
Mm.
So I mean, I learned so much, and I think there'll be a lot of eye-opening moments when people read this book.
So if we look at social media, LinkedIn groups, for example, lots of people put a lot of time and effort into building LinkedIn groups, which are communities. But a lot of people now don't do that because they see that they're a failure. Why do communities fail?
I don't have a full explanation of what's going on LinkedIn. I really don't. I mean, there's so much potential there,
Isn't that
but
just?
most communities on LinkedIn are ghost towns. Um, so what's the problem? Most communities fail, and they fail for one simple reason. The primary reason is that, excuse me, businesses create communities to sell stuff,
Yeah.
to meet their quarterly sales goal. And nobody wants to gather for that. You've got to think about, okay, what do we believe in this company? What is our purpose and what do we stand for? And how does that intersect the belief, the emotion, the purpose of our customers? A very easy example to understand: the well-known brand Patagonia.
Mm.
When you think of Patagonia, you immediately think of environmental stewardship
Yeah.
and responsible outdoor recreation. So, my friend Matthew Sweezy, he's one of the co-hosts of my podcast. He said, "I only buy Patagonia because I am in their community and I love what they stand for. I love what they're doing in this world." So, I've got a whole chapter on that. This idea of it's different from your point of differentiation. Your point of differentiation might be, we have the largest selection of deli meats. Fantastic. That might mean a lot to me when I'm thinking about what store to go to. But I don't want to join a community because you've got a big selection of deli meats. I might want to join a community because you're hosting cooking classes at your store every week or every month. And I'm meeting people in my community that are like-minded, and we enjoy being here with each other. That's why I want to gather in a community. So it's really, really different to think about, what you're putting in your ads versus how you're gathering a community.
So how do you measure community? Because my CEO wants to know.
Yeah, right. They all do. So does the accountants. Well, I mean, it's interesting how measurement has driven the dynamics of community. 70% of the communities out there today are transaction based. They're customer self-service. You have a problem with our software? Go to our community. It's easy to measure because you've got that cost avoidance of customer service being, handled in a community. But if you're only focusing on that, you're missing the idea of emotion and loyalty, collaboration, co-creation, getting first party data from your customers, getting insights into their wants and their needs, cultural trends, speed of information, trust. So, how do you measure trust? How do you how do you measure the value of brand advocacy that comes from focusing on brand marketing instead of transactional or direct marketing? The thing that's unique, that distinguishes this book, is for the first time, it looks at community in the terms of this massive, vast benefit of brand marketing. And almost everybody is ignoring it. How do you measure brand marketing? How do you measure, everybody thinks of, when I say Coca-Cola, you say, all right, what do you think of? Polar bears.
Polar bears.
You don't, you don't think of brown colored sugar water that makes you sick because there's too much sugar in it. You think of polar bears. How does the polar bear image sell more Coca-Cola? Yes. Can you measure it? No. It's especially for small to medium-sized companies. It's almost impossible to measure the value of brand marketing. And so I say you got to get out of that transactional rut and look at the value of a community in other ways. And sometimes that's qualitative measures instead of quantitative measures like leads or revenue. Sometimes it's engagement. A lot of people think, oh, that's kind of a fluffy metric, but that shows the health of the community. And that, I think, is a leading indicator to loyalty and sales. So look, I'm a measurement geek. I'm a data geek. I love data, but I'm also realistic about the value of brand marketing and what people are missing in all of these communities.
Mark, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your new book, Belonging to the Brand: Why Community is the Last Great Marketing Strategy. I've read it. Really good book. Highly recommend it.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. I've written. I only wrote. Was it 2 or 3 pages about community in my books about social selling. I understand the importance of it and how critical it is, and it's great to see someone actually, write a whole book about it. And so thank you for that, and thank you for coming on today, and thanks for the audience for jumping in and batting back and making some comments and engaging. So, Mark, remind people where they can get hold of you.
You can find me at businessesgrow.com. My book is on Amazon in paper, hardback, Kindle, and an audiobook narrated by me.
Fantastic. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today and spending the time with us and talking. And I'm looking forward to this is your 10th, isn't it?
Number 10, yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to your 11th. I always know because you put a post, don't you, on Facebook about how you go about writing books, and you say there's a particular method that you use, and you usually post that you're doing that, and what does it mean?
Yeah, well, it's just, I got to speak to Tom Peters a few weeks ago, and he said, he told me 2 years ago he was retired. Now he has a new book out, and I said, why? I said, why? He said, because I'm desperate to get my ideas into the world. And that's why I write books, because we need to change. Marketing is sick.
Yeah.
And, I think I have some ideas about that.
Yeah, good. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you,
Really appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.